Good morning, art historians. I hope you all had a really lovely Thanksgiving if you celebrated. I definitely had a really lovely weekend. I usually go to my family friend's house. Is just thinking it's probably been about 20 years of us going to their home for Thanksgiving. I don't have a huge extended side of my family, and so it's always really lovely to get to spend time with people who maybe aren't necessarily like your family by like blood definition, but family and what's in your heart. And that's really sappy way to begin our week 6 summary, but I think it's an important thing to reflect on. Family's not who your genetic connection says it is. It's whoever you say it is. So I got to see my best friend who was actually home this year from Texas, which was awesome. And it was just really wonderful. So I hope you all enjoyed the little bit of relaxation, a little bit of time off if you're a working person like me, and maybe got a chance to reset a little bit. Because I don't know about you all, but we got like 3 weeks till the holidays, and it's gonna go really, really fast. But we have even less time of our class left. We are now in the second to last week of our course, week 7 right now. But before I get into any reminders and things like that, let's just do a quick summary of week 6. So we had 2 quizzes this week, quiz 10 and quiz 11, and then a really awesome discussion. So I'm just going to talk about some stuff. So first of all, for quiz 10, we have Vasily Kandinsky's Small Pleasures, and it is characterized by the correct answer would have been abstract forms and vibrant colors expressing emotional and spiritual themes, but some of you might have accidentally chosen a different response thinking that it was the correct answer. And so some of you had wrote that it was a detailed representational imagery of nature. So Kandinsky's Small Pleasures from 1913, it's characterized by abstract forms and vibrant colors expressing emotional and spiritual themes because it reflects his belief of the expressive power of abstraction. Kandinsky was absolutely a pioneer of abstract art, and his works often aim to evoke emotional and spiritual responses rather than depict the very literal physical world in a very representational way. So he's using shapes, colors, and compositional rhythms to really create a sense of inner reality and universal harmony. The lack of detailed representational imagery really much aligns with his belief that art should transcend the material world and really connect directly with the soul. And so that is why the answer would have been correct. And then looking at quiz 11, Georgia O'Keeffe's White Shell with Red focuses on, correct answer here is the abstract representation of natural forms. A couple of you chose the depiction of urban nightlife. So Georgia is our girl for nature forms. Like, she's a nature form girly. Think skulls, flowers, rolling hills, lots of beautiful smooth gradients and blending. She really does not ever dive into urban nightlife. It's just not her scene, unfortunately. Get it? Anyway, but I did want to also reflect on some really amazing responses from quiz 11's short answer. It talked about Venus of Willendorf and Willem de Kooning, women 1. So I'm not personally the biggest fan of de Kooning in this particular example. I feel like he is boiling down the woman's body to focus on reproduction, which kind of makes sense for people in 23,000 BCE. I mean, the survival rate for childbirth was most likely far, far less than we know today. So the value of being able to carry on one's people is essential for survival. It's essential in the same way that hunting is, that finding water is. These hunter-gatherers, these nomads are wandering around our globe and trying to make a life for themselves, and childbirth is a really important aspect of that. So de Kooning, it feels like he's trying to do this in like a cool painterly way. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't love that. It feels like that kind of difficult conversation between copying and appropriation, and then there's also the concept of like all this primitivism that's happening, which I hate. I think there is a really good way to respect and channel other artists from any time frame's work and style, but in a more respectful way that also doesn't just rip off what people have done prior. And I'm not saying that necessarily this is what de Kooning is doing, but it starts to get into that category. And so some of you had written that in your responses, which I totally agree with. But otherwise, I think you all did a really good job writing for this quiz. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to that. So So now for our discussion, a couple of you talked about Della Lune, some of you mentioned Brock, some of you mentioned the object, and Carter, you were one of those. You mentioned the object, and the way you described it, the uncomfortableness, the fur in my mouth. Ugh, I don't like it. It's very ew, but like, I don't know why I want to like give it a little hug because it looks really soft. Very confusing work of art. Oh my goodness. Surrealists, what are you doing to us? It's so complicated. It's so difficult to wrap your brain around with all of these emotions. But I mean, think about that response. That's exactly what the artists are going for. So I guess it's still very, very effective. Michelle and Alex, you talked about Eiffel Tower by Robert Della Lune. And Alex, you mentioned that there was this sense of improvised brushstrokes and choices, which I love. Michelle, you mentioned that you could feel the grandeur of the monument, even though it's fractured. So just really great reflection, the two of you, on this particular work of art. And Isabella, you mentioned the Portuguese by George Braque and the sharp lines, various shapes, and how they reflect different emotions, which I thought was a really interesting connection and way to dive deep into art that might otherwise be very difficult to interpret. So, we are now at the end of week 6. I have all of week 6 work graded, aside from your third writing assignment, which I'm going to work on throughout the course of this week. So now you are working on the work for week 7. And folks, this is so important. Nothing that I tell you about your assignments is more important than the following things I have to say. Your formal analysis paper is due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. That's 11:59 p.m. Sunday, December 8th. Okay? So what that means for you all is that you need to submit this paper by that date, or unfortunately, you cannot pass this course. This is a core assignment, even outside of our gamified structure. Every course at Lindenwood needs some sort of core solidifying, kind of centralizing assignment. And that is this assignment for all art history courses. So you do need to write a reflective paper. You need to see the artwork in person. Of course, I understand not all of us are close to SLAM, so if you have another place you can go, please feel free. If you want to check in with me if it's approved, totally happy to hear your suggestions or what your plans are and talk them through. But you need to submit this work by Sunday, folks. You will start getting very, very angry looking all caps emails from me first thing Monday morning if I don't see that submitted. And again, you cannot pass this course without it, folks. So do not wait until the last minute for this. I have been reminding you for many, many weeks now. So hopefully you're in good shape with that. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know what's going on so that I can assist. If it's a case of not being able to get somewhere, but you've seen some artwork in person, we can discuss more. But this is on a case-by-case basis, folks. So unless you talk to me, you got to go to SLAM, you got to find some artworks on the list, and you got to talk about it. So I think that's about it for week 6. As I said, we are kind of progressing really well at this point. Your week 8 is going to be much, much lighter with your notes. You'll really only have one unit to think about, as well as your second exam and last writing assignment if you choose to complete those. So a little bit of a break coming up in our last week of class, but don't lose sight of the destination now. Let's keep putting all our effort into all of our work that you submit. I love, love, love seeing what you folks write in your short answers on your quizzes and your self-guided explorations, and I cannot wait to get started grading this week's writing assignment. So thank you again, folks. I know this is a very condensed class, which results in a lot of really, really quickly turned in work, and credit goes where it deserves. So credit to you all for really putting all the effort in, and thank you so much. And I will see you all for a week 7 recap in a week. Bye, everybody.